Welcome back. Time now to get real with you, folks. And tonight, I'm going to make this next statement, and it pains me deeply to say it, but I got to say it. Journalism is dead. Maybe not entirely in this country, but as a whole, especially when it comes to all of the mainstream broadcast and cable networks, along with major print media, I truly believe this. And why do I make such an inflammatory statement? Because over the past couple of weeks, since the Biden family corruption story broke, only a small number, and I mean a small number, of cable networks and smaller papers like OAN have actually decided to report on the facts of this story. Others like CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, they've all decided to call it Russian propaganda. That's right. That's the narrative that we've now heard, though, coming from the Biden campaign and fellow Democrats. What a joke. There's a mountain of evidence from a whistleblower who has identified himself and is doing the right thing, to thousands of damning emails, text messages, and voicemails that show proof of the corruption, and yet nothing, not a peep. This is why I make that statement that real journalism is dead in our country. And why does this upset me so much? Well, it should make you mad as hell too. You know, I remember a time in this country when we used to speak the name of truth seekers like Edward R. Murrow, Walter Cronkite, and Mike Wallace, not Chris, with deep reverence. A time when if you were on the wrong side of the law or caught in a lie to the American people, you'd be trembling in your boots if those journalists came knocking on your door, mic in hand, camera rolling. Remember those days? We all gathered around the tube for shows like 2020, 60 Minutes, or just our local evening news. Our belief at that moment in time that we would be given an unbiased look into what was actually happening in our country. No opinion, no softball questions, no pushing a narrative, just the facts. But sadly, my fellow patriots, it's not the case in this day and age. So now, we as Americans must get real. We must do the work. We must seek out the truth. We must dig and claw for the facts, especially when it comes to the Biden family's involvement with communist China, Russia, and Ukraine. What did Joe Biden know? What role did he play in all of this corruption? With the evidence mounting, this journalist can only conclude that he, his brother Jim, and his son Hunter are guilty. Guilty of money laundering, extortion, and using the influence of the office of the Vice President of the United States to line their damn pockets, period. So while I don't make this statement lightly about the state of journalism today, we must all recognize the truth. We must not rely on the lamestream media to do their jobs fairly and accurately. It simply doesn't exist anymore. You know, when I got in this industry back in 1993, I started by broadcasting to our troops working for the Armed Forces Radio Television Service while I served in the Air Force. I then turned that experience into a 22-year career in local broadcast news. I remember a discussion that I had with my brother, who's also an Air Force vet. He served as a brave firefighter. I expressed to him my concerns about the direction that the industry was heading. And you know what he told me? He said, Dan, what you do is a service to your community, just like my service as a first responder firefighter. That statement by my late brother has really stuck with me over the years. It reminds me that as a veteran, we all learn to put service before self. And after that pep talk from my brother, I've always tried to carry that sentiment with me when reporting the news. But sadly, many in the mainstream media have either never learned that or have forgotten why they're here at all. Many call the media the fourth state, right? The last stop, checks and balances against corruption and lies. Well, looking at the state of our mainstream media today, as they continue to deny this story even exists, or as they push a liberal agenda or constantly attack our president, it's apparent to me that journalism is in fact dead. And we need to get real and do the work ourselves. So folks, in some sense, become your own reporter. Do the work. Put the time in. Research. And before you vote, seek the truth. And that's going to do it for our show tonight. We thank you so much for tuning in to Real America. If you'd like to sound off, send us a comment, a compliment, praise, or just tear me a new one. I like them all. There's the contact info. We hope to see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. But until then, folks, be proud, be safe, and God bless.